So I'm Thomas Glanton, a graduate of Redan High School in 1989, current area superintendent of high schools, and I'm DeKalb May. Well, first off, it was actually named Redan when I was there. We were Redan High School, but it was a wonderful place. Grew up there in that area. Had about 1,200 students who graduated in my graduating class. We had a large graduating class from that time period. Very diverse school. In fact, most African Americans were in the minority at that school at that particular time. But it was a great place. A lot of involved students, a lot of great faculty and staff, a lot of wonderful community, a great place to go to high school. We were one of the largest schools during that time period. Interestingly enough, we were one of those schools that didn't even have windows. So that was our claim to fame back then, that our building didn't have windows. But of course, some other schools were built in the same model, but we had a great class, very smart, intelligent students who traveled all over the world and did some wonderful, great things. Man, now see, I'm getting old now, but of course, Doyle Oren was the principal at the school. Ironically, he left Southwest DeKalb as the principal to go to Redan High School. Learned that later on. But of course, you have Mr. McGrady, who's a legend, a legendary leader for DeKalb. You had Mr. Elmore, who was there. You had Percy Mack, and so it was full of quality leaders. But more importantly, I think back on it, like seeing them, particularly, Mr. Mack, Mr. Elmore, Mr. McGrady as African-American men, leaders in that building, they were planting seeds in me, really, to become a leader. And I'm thinking about that now, but I remember them in the hall. I remember the connections they had with students, how they would pull us to the side and make sure that we as young men were good. Really inspired me to become a leader. Of course, there were other teachers who were great, and they helped me and nurtured me in the classrooms, but I think about the male leadership that was in the building during that time period really impacted who I am today as a leader. So I went to Canby Lane, and then I went to a school out of our district, and then came back over for Redan High School. At Redan, I was a band kid. I was a band kid. I loved the band. Band was very good to me. I was always very musically inclined. And so I started out Redan High School as a sub-freshman going to band camp. I was able to be a part of the jazz band and the honor band. I made the Georgia All-State band like 3 times in a row, the All-State jazz band. I was just that band. Every morning I would get up, go to school and go straight to the band room, and hang out in the band room. And then went on to become the drum major for Redan High School. So band was really good to me, but I was also involved in theater and plays. I was on the school council. We had a black school union there while I was there. Believe it or not, we had to have that type of support for black students at Redan High School during the late 80s, because there wasn't a large group of black students at Redan High School during that time period. And so many of the faculty members encouraged that. We would participate in the Martin Luther King parade. We would do things around campus, just celebrating our culture and who we were and who we are. And so that really helped kind of groom me and prepare me for life after high school. I knew once I graduated, I wanted to go to, I had a couple of offers, but I wanted to go to somewhere that represented similar to the diverse nature of Redan High School then. And so University of Georgia kind of fit the bill with that. It gave me a full ride in order for me to play the trumpet. And so I knew without a doubt that I wanted to go be a Georgia Bulldog. And we had the most students from any high school in Georgia to attend UGA during 1989, the fall of 1989, because that's the caliber of students that Redan High School was producing. And so once I got to UGA, I saw Redan Raiders everywhere. And it was like a small family, even at the University of Georgia. Redan really represented during that time period. So some of my fondest memories of school really was my peer group, like most students. I mean, I had a great peer group, and you become the company that you keep. You're known by the company you keep, and you become the company you keep. And so many of my fellow classmates have gone on to do great things, and I think we inspire each other, even to this day. We hang out sometime. We on a group chat, of course, and we get together, and we always encourage one another. And I think that may be a little unusual in some ways, but I appreciate my friend group from high school. In fact, my best friend is still, from high school, and we still connect and talk just about every single day. And so it's important to make those connections very early on. Wow, my favorite class in high school, believe it or not, was band. I lived for the band, man. I would be in the band room early in the morning. I'd be in there late at night. I would be there for jazz band, symphonic band, concert band. Like, I just loved the band. So that's no surprise, I'm a band guy. The class that I probably wanted to avoid the most, although I never cut a class, wink, wink. No, just play. No, I never cut a class. That would have been French. I don't know why. French and I just didn't connect. And so I don't know why I even chose French as opposed to Spanish. All my friends did Spanish. I say, no, I'm gonna do French. But it just didn't connect with me very well at all. So graduated from Redan, went to University of Georgia, graduated in 4 years. I was the drum major for the Red Coat Band for about 4 years, 3.5 years. I served as second African-American drum major there. And then I was the president of the Black Affairs Council at UGA, on the President's Council, some other things there. Once I graduated from University of Georgia, I actually got a job as a graduate assistant, stayed on campus, worked in the Division of Minority Services and Programs, and while earning my master's degree at UGA. My actual first teaching job was in Athens, Georgia for 1 year. And I learned very quickly that I wanted to be out of the classroom and impact children in schools in a different way. Both my mother and my father were principals. And so that's all we used to talk about at the kitchen table was school and operations of school and curriculum and facility management and hiring teachers. And so that was always implanted in me very young. After I left that 1 year in Athens, I went into grad school and worked back at the University of Georgia while earning a doctorate degree. And then I moved back to Atlanta, and my first job in 1997 was at Dunwoody High School as an English teacher. And the principal there, she snatched me up really quickly. Jenny Springer, who's a legend in DeKalb, went on to work with the state, of course, and I served in the 9th grade academy at Dunwoody High School for about 4 years or so, learning a lot about navigating and helping young people to become wonderful students. And then I saw an opening there as I was shadowing another legend in DeKalb, Quentin Fretwell, who was an AP there. And I was watching him and what he was doing. And when he got a job or a promotion, a position became available. And I actually applied for and got that job as an AP at Dunwoody High School. Spent 4 or 5 years there as an AP, learning a lot about all aspects of leadership. One of the things I really appreciated there under Joanne Leonard was the opportunity to delve in a lot of different areas of leadership, that we were not pigeonholed into any areas at all. I could do discipline, I could learn testing, I could do assessment, I could do master scheduling, I work with attendance. And she actually had no qualms about me doing that. And sooner than later, an opportunity came up for me to be transferred over to Chamblee High School as an assistant principal. And I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to go in a different school. And he said, I got 2 schools available. I have Chamblee High School and I have Columbia High School. And I thought about it and prayed on it, and I decided that I wanted to go to Columbia High School. And totally different experiences, but I took all that I had learned at Dunwoody and all I learned at Chamblee and took that over to Columbia High School. Started in the middle of the first semester and had a great experience there. We did a lot of great work, moved the graduation rate, a lot of content mastery, developed a wonderful team, took some kids to the state championship for basketball. I mean, we just had a great run while I was the principal at Columbia High School. And then there became some openings and some shifts within the district, and a position became available for the Director of Leadership Development. And applied for the Director of Leadership Development and got that role. And during that time, you know, we were working to develop a pipeline of leaders. And so we developed leaders who were teacher leaders, as well as assistant principals who wanted to become principals, as well as principals who were new principals. And really kind of massaged that program and developed that program. And quite a few of our leaders here today went through our leadership pipeline through the Department of Leadership Development. And so we did that for a few years. Not long after then, things started changing economically in our country, and there were a lot of cuts coming to education, and I had a young family, and I decided that it was important for me to get some job security. And so looked for an opportunity and took advantage of an opportunity to go to a neighboring district as a principal. Had an experience there and learned a lot about that from an outside perspective. And after doing that in some leadership positions in another district, very briefly, there became a position available because I wanted to come back home to DeKalb. Because what I recognized is there's nothing like DeKalb. DeKalb takes care of people. DeKalb cares about, in a way very different than other districts, about the people who work and serve children. And I wanted to come back home to that. And there was a position that became available at the illustrious Southwest DeKalb High School. And I applied for that role and got that job, very thankful, and served there for, I guess, about 11 years as the principal. Did some wonderful work there, really connecting with the alumni, moving the graduation rate. As a seasoned principal, was really able to build multiple teams to really do great things at Southwest DeKalb, to get Southwest DeKalb back to the, as they say, the prominence that it was. You know, and what's interesting about that is because I went to Redan was a major adversary, if you will, to Southwest DeKalb. I can remember being in Redan's band and almost with envy looking at Southwest DeKalb's band, because our band was, you know, we were marching like this right here, and Southwest DeKalb, you know, they were doing what they do, HBCU style. And so, you know, and I had friends who went to Southwest DeKalb, so when I got the job as the principal of Southwest DeKalb, there was always, you know, some tongue-in-cheek back and forth with my fellow Redan Raiders. Like, I've traded them now, you know, I've gone to the enemy. They're on the sides with the enemy of Southwest DeKalb. But deep in my heart, you know, I'm always a Raider, but I'm also, you know, a Panther as well. You know, I carry both sides of that arm there. And so did some great work there. And then, you know when it's your time to kind of move, you know, and go in a different direction. And so thankful for an opportunity to assume the role as the area superintendent of high schools for DeKalb as I prepare now entering into my 31st year. And we'll see what the future holds. The arts are very, very important. For me, it allowed me to make some connections beyond the classroom. For me, whether it was music or whether it was theater, it was important for me to find a group of people where we shared a similar interest.
I've accepted the challenge. Watch as I take you down memory lane. Okay. I'm trying to get crunk. Tell them how we gonna go. Tell them why they don't come. Tell them why they better run. Stand up and get crunk. Stand up and get crunk. Here we go to get you. Here we go to get We bring it here.
So, when I think about it, there are thousands of students who I've had a chance to in some way touch their lives. And it comes out in a lot of very different ways. I could be at a Wendy's and I'm driving through the Wendy's, and I pull up to the drive-through and I'll make my order and someone will say, "Dr. Glanton, is that you?" I mean, just recognizing my voice because I've done countless number of phone calls or calling posts or over the intercom, and when I go, even now when I go to UGA and I go to a homecoming game, I see my students there, and it makes me very proud. Or I see them, out and about on social media, and many of them will inbox me, DM me, if you will, right, and just thank me, for something that I don't even remember doing. And it's really powerful because they will say things like, "You remember that time when you caught me in the hall?" Or "You called my mama and made me X, Y, and Z. That really changed me." And sometimes we do things that we don't even know how it impacts young people. Because I said earlier, our words are very powerful and our actions as well. And so it's important for us to always speak life. And by no means have I always been perfect. I've made mistakes along the way, but I hope that I've been able to model, first off, for some young people, how you can have a career, how you can, uphold some values of an organization, how you can support students and put students first. I hope they see that in me. And I'm not afraid to share with them, my mistakes that I've made. And so that's the first part. Is touching students is really, really important for me. I was like the dad for some of those kids, right? I would talk to them in ways and support them in ways that my father perhaps would have supported me, helping them make good decisions and encouraging them to make, smart choices, and I think that that's important. I hope that the parents appreciate in some ways what we all do as administrators, to support their children. So I just want to thank, first off, of course, the administrative team at Redan High School back in the 80s. You all made a big impact on me. Doyle Oren being the principal, of course, and the assistant principals. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, as I've gotten older, I don't remember names as much. But some of my great teachers, Ms. Bright, I remember you. I remember, of course, the band directors and the coaches, and all of the people who worked together during that time period to kind of make sure that all of us were good and okay in that setting of Redan High School. I just really appreciate it. I also want to thank, the continued legacy of all of the folks in the district office right now who are pushing and encouraging all of our schools to be great schools. Although, I've been to a lot of them, I would send my kid to just about any school in DeKalb because I think that we are getting to the point now where we are creating a legacy of success where all students can achieve, all students can do well, and I'm excited about the future of DeKalb schools.